Barney here, along with Wicket90, which you guys should know from the Warframe series, and my friend Fat People's Orbit. Of course, we're not in the party chat right now, but at least there he is right there. That's my friend Glenn. I'm not gonna say his last name though. I'm sure he's gonna be a baby back bitch about that. Isn't that right, Glenn?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So, if you could tell, well, actually, the name of the video is Update 11.5, what you need to know. Specifically, it's this video itself is about damage 2.0. In the last Update 11 video I spoke about, I did a little segment on damage 2.0, but since this recent update, they revamped damage 2.0, and I would like to call it damage 2.5 now. And I spent some time researching this and just getting things just right so you can figure out for yourself, or you can go upon my little tips and tricks about it and figure out what is the best elemental combos in what certain situations or in general use for you to use, because they did change a lot. Whereas before, I mean, sure, we still have impact, puncture, slash, and we have all the elements, all the elemental combos, and they still have all the stats effects that they do. That has not changed. What they did change, though, is that instead of there just being shields, armor, health, infested, and robotic, there's now, so that was 5. There's now like a total of 12 different categories. 4 per faction now. And they kind of reworked how elements affect these certain things and stuff. So, whereas before where magnetic and heat, or magnetic and blast, was like the overall kind of best elements to use in a combination together, that's not the case anymore. I'm just saying it out right now. Overall, it's not, like the golden word of the day or anything like that. No Pee-wee Playhouse shit going on right here. Corrosive and heat are like the best to try to use in general use. Not if you're trying to go up against Corpus bosses though. But yeah, I've got this sheet right here, and I'm going to go over all of it for you right now, and it's actually kind of complicated, even though, I've handwritten all of it, and it's not very fancy or anything like that. But hey, I went with Christmas colors. Yeah, green and red. Ha ha ha. Merry Christmas. Anyway, so also during little pauses of these segments, I'm going to ask Glenn and Ricky if they've got any questions to ask, so that there could be a bit of a Q&A there for you, just in case viewer you have a question. At least hopefully it gets answered. But let's start off with the regular physical damage, the impact, puncture, and slash. Well, actually, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. More so, let's talk about how there's been new things added, right? So Grineer, the four categories that they have now is the cloned flesh, ferrite, alloy, and machinery. And then Corpus has regular flesh, shield, proto shield, and robotic. Just so you know, proto shields are like the shields that are on the Corpus bosses, or the Corpus Tech, which Corpus Tech is the big Corpus in the red jumpsuit. But yeah, it's those badass shields to try to go through. And then infested. This is a little weird at first. You've got infested, and then infested flesh, and then fossilized and sinew. I'm not exactly sure in game what has what, and neither is the wiki yet since this. I'm sure a lot of people have been working on it and trying to get everything up to date. Using codec scanners and stuff like that. But okay, so I'm going to review everything here for you. So we're going to start off with impact. I'm not going to talk about whether or not it has no effects on anything. I'm just going to skip to the positives and the negatives. It does plus 25% to Grineer machinery, minus 25% to Corpus flesh, plus 50% to Corpus shield, plus 25% to proto shield. Puncture, plus 50%, nearly said 55, plus 50% to Grineer ferrite, plus 25% to Grineer alloy, minus 25% to Corpus shield, minus 50% to proto shield, plus 25% to robotic, plus 25% to sinew. And I think I'm not sure about this, but I think the only thing that really has sinew in the infested is the ancients, actually, because I've noticed that the my despairs tend to do more damage now to the ancients as before. So it's just a little theory. I'm not exactly sure, so don't take my word on that. But slash does plus 25% to cloned flesh, minus 25% to ferrite, minus 50% to alloy, plus 25% to corpus flesh, minus 25% to robotics, plus 25% to infested, plus 50% to infested flesh, plus 25% to fossilized. Before I move on to the elements, Glenn, Ricky, you guys got a question?
I'm good.
Ricky?
Pretty clear.
Ricky? Okay, Ricky's AFK. Alright, so on to elemental damage now. So you got cold, electric, heat, and toxin. And same kind of drop down list before, and do the same manner here. So starting off with cold, does plus 25% to Grenier alloy, plus 50% to corpus shields, minus 50% to infested flesh, minus 25% to the fossilized, and plus 25% to sinew. Electric damage, minus 50% to Grenier alloy, plus 50% to Grenier machinery, plus 50% to corpus robotic, and that's it, which is actually pretty good. Heat, plus 25% to cloned flesh, minus 50% to proto shield, plus 25% to infested, and plus 50% to infested flesh. Toxin, plus 25% to Grenier ferrite, plus minus 25% to Grenier machinery, plus 50% to corpus flesh, plus 25% to corpus proto shield, minus 25% to robotics, and minus 50% to infested fossilized. Whew. Which is actually good because before damage 2.5 on on regular damage 2.0, toxin just kind of overall did less damage to infested, which made sense. And then also electricity did less damage. So now the infested do not have a damage reduction to electric damage. So feel free to try to chain lightning these assholes. Okay, before I move on to the elemental combos, Glenn, any questions?
Makes sense to me. I'm good.
Alright, so on the elemental combos, Glenn, do you know how to make the elemental combos happen?
No.
Okay, so there's blast, corrosive, gas, magnetic, radiation, and viral. To make blast elemental damage happen, you need to mix a fire mod with a ice mod, right?
Okay.
Or freeze mod. Corrosive happens to be toxin and electricity. Gas is heat or fire and toxin. Magnetic is cold and electricity. Radiation is fire and electricity, and viral is cold and toxin. Did you catch all that?
Yep.
If you ever need to ask me again, I will tell you, or I'll at least direct you to the wiki, and you can just use that as a reference. But I mean, I know this shit now.
I'm good. I caught it.
Yeah. Okay. So the combined element spheres and their retrospective damages. Okay. Sorry about that. Minus 25. Well, starting off with blast. Minus 25% to Grenier ferrite, plus 75% to Grenier machinery, plus 50% to infested fossilized, minus 50% to infested sinew. Corrosive, plus 75% to Grenier ferrite, minus 50% to corpus proto shield, plus 75% to infested fossilized. Before I actually really continue on with that, since it pretty much just ends there with corrosive on this one thing, is about the proto shields. If you're wanting to just design a weapon to use in just general use, go with heat and corrosive, and also puncture, I guess, maybe. But really just focusing on the elements, just heat and corrosive, because in general use, in general playstyle, you're really not going to fight the corpus bosses. If you are, then you're gonna have to change up the game a little bit. But in general use against everything else, just in case you're just tired of having to fucking swap out your mods consistently, constantly, and it's just draining on you horribly, then do not use something like magnetic anymore, because that's really just specified for shields. Use corrosive and heat, because their only negative is to proto shields, and the only things that have proto shields are corpus bosses. So yeah, there's that. But let me continue on. Gas, minus 50% to clone flesh, which I actually find that a little weird, but then also kind of makes sense at the same time. Minus 25% to corpus flesh, plus 75% to infested, plus 50% to infested flesh. Now that is something I find really weird, because gas is a toxin damage and it does bonus damage to infested. I don't fully understand that one. Glenn, can you make any sense of it?
Not really, no.
Okay.
You know more about this than me.
Alright. Magnetic. Minus 50% to Grineer Alloy, plus 75% to Corpus Shield, plus 75% to Proto Shields, and that's it. Radiation. Plus 75% to Grineer Alloy, minus 25% to Corpus Shield, plus 25% to Corpus Robotics, minus 50% to Infested, minus 75% to Infested Fossilized, plus 50% to Infested Sinew. Viral. Excuse me. Plus 75% to Clone Flesh, minus 25% to Grineer Machinery, plus 50% to Corpus Flesh, minus 50% to Infested. Alright, so that was definitely a mouthful. I'm not done yet, unfortunately, because, you know, down here, all the stuff that I got right now, it's all the different scenarios. General use and also, like, specifics, right? If you only are thinking to yourself that day, oh, all I want to go up against is nothing but Grineer, then you know what? I've got the answer for you, okay? I'm actually going to do something kind of unorthodox during the video. Glenn, talk to the viewers. Try to entertain them. I need to go get me a glass of water or soda or something. I'm parched. Can you do that for me?
I don't think so, man.
Oh, come on.
Me and the viewers, we have this strained relationship.
Strange
We're not on
relationship.
speaking terms right now.
Did they never give you a reach around?
They didn't, and they should feel ashamed of themselves for not doing so.
Did they not take you to a restaurant?
I'm still upset about that.
Glenn, do you like getting wine to dine before you get fucked?
Maybe I do. Maybe I do.
Alright, viewers, just bear with me for a moment. It should not take long. I'm gonna go get me something to drink. Be right back. Oh, and mind you, this Warframe you've been watching for a while now, that's the newest one to come out. That's Oberon, and you can see the weapons there on the side, the Karak Stug and Magister. In the video that should be following after this for covering 11.5, you will be seeing me use him in the field, and also if you notice by my color scheme, like I usually play, I usually go with black, red, and purple, while seeing as how I'm black, white, and purple, I actually use white to try to signify something. I've already mastered my Oberon. So yeah, be right back. Okay. Got me some fucking ginger ale. Tasty. Glenn, you're still there, right?
No.
Okay. Ricky, did you ever come back?
Yeah, I came in.
Oh, there we go. So you missed the first half of this.
Yeah.
So that kind of fucking sucks. Either you can go back and watch the video after this hits YouTube, or I will have to fucking take the horrific time to explain all of this to you.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
Alright, well, so best, okay, starting off in the beginning, just for the weapons that are just straight element damage, this is what I'm starting off with, before I start off with the puncture, impact, or slash. Okay, actually, you know what? No. I'm doing this other way around than I had initially planned. So we will start off with your regular physical damage for general use. For impact, well, okay, in the sense of like an impact heavy weapon, right? But of course, all weapons do, well, not all, but majority of your guns out there are going to do impact, slash, and puncture and stuff. But, the damage values on them are always different. Like, for instance, like my Karak here does more impact. My Stug, well, it's just straight corrosive. My Magister does more impact. And it only has 2 slash. Only 2. So, I mean, there's always that variation. But, so for a impact heavy weapon for general use, either leave it as is, right? Which is really your best option, because the only negative you have to your impact damage is minus 25% to Corpus Flesh. And the Corpus Flesh is always very squishy. So that's really not that much of a negative. And going through all this stuff, I tried weighing out, I'm honestly just min-maxing things here to where you have the lowest negative and the most positive. It's either that or make it viral, because if you made it viral, then okay. So you would have your impact damage, and then you would have your viral damage to it, and then you would go, if you remember, fuck, I'll just say it out loud anyways. So you would have plus 75% to clone flesh. Plus 25% you had to machinery from just straight impact, it would actually kind of equalize itself out, because viral has a negative 25% to Grenier machinery. And that minus 25% to Corpus Flesh, you would actually be at plus 25% now. Plus 50% to Corpus Shield, plus 25% to Proto Shield. And then the only unfortunate part is that you would have a minus 50% to just regular Infested. Which really isn't that hard, because, come on, let's face it, Infested are the easiest in this game, unless you're facing Lephantis. Isn't that right, Ricky?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And then, okay, so puncture, a puncture heavy weapon, like Despairs or what rifle do I have that's like, anyways, either leave it as is, right, because, I mean, it's got good damage values. The only things you have a real bad negative to is the Corpus Proto Shield, which that's really not a negative, because the amount of things in this game that have the Proto Shield is extremely limited, so that doesn't really matter. I mean, and you also have a minus 25% to Corpus Shields, but even then, oh my god, your puncture damage isn't doing that much. Use your abilities. Like, 9 times out of 10, your abilities should be good against the Corpus Shield. So either that, or add heat, or if you're Corpus boss hunting, add magnetic, right? So if you just add heat, your damage values then would be plus 25, plus 50, plus 25, minus 25, minus 100, plus 25, plus 50. Of course, I'm not giving you the names for all of that, but that was Clone Flesh. Yeah, that was Clone Flesh, Grenier Ferrite, Grenier Alloy, Corpus Shields, Corpus Proto Shield, and then Corpus Robotics, you have plus 25% there. And then plus 25% to Infested, and plus 50% to Infested Flesh. So that's actually like a pretty good deal right there. If you brought that weapon up to something like the Jackal, though, you'd be in that fight for a really long time. But like I said, if you want to go Corpus boss hunting, add magnetic, because then your puncture damage, in the sense of Corpus boss hunting and stuff, would have plus 50%, plus 50% to try to take down that boss. Only speaking in the shields, which is useful. And slash damage, if you have a weapon that is slash heavy, do not fucking add a goddamn elemental mod to it at all in general use. Now, if you're trying to go for specific factions, yeah, that makes sense. But in just general use, do not, because the slash, if you add any of the elements to it, you make it really lopsided. actually. I mean, okay, it's either that or add heat. Yeah, pretty much just add heat in that sense as well, because actually, no, don't add heat. Yeah, I'm just kind of reviewing that really quickly there. I mean, this stuff is really complicated now. I'm doing my best for you. Yeah, just in general use, leave slash damage just as it is. Just if you want that extra damage in overall senses, then now because of damage 2.5, your situational mods that are faction specific, like Bane of Corpus or expel or like expel infested, or smite Grenier or some shit like that, right? Those are actually more useful now. I'm in a fucking video. Go. I'm in a video. Shit. Okay, and then if you have a weapon that's like perfectly evened out, like the only one that that you can get off the marketplace that is perfectly evened out, I was able to notice, was the regular Braden, not the Mark 1 Braden, because you start off with the Mark 1 Braden. Just the regular Braden, because it's a 6 impact, 6 puncher, and 6 slash, right? Either you leave that as is because all that kind of like evens itself out, or add cold, because if you add cold, you would okay, if you add cold, your damage values would change as so. You would have plus 25% to clone flesh, plus 25% to Grenier ferrite, plus 25% to Grenier alloy, plus 25% to Grenier machinery, nothing to Corpus flesh. Let's see, plus 75% to Corpus shields, minus 25% to Proto shields, nothing to Corpus robotics, plus 25% to infested, nothing to infested flesh, nothing to infested fossilized, and plus 50% to infested sinew. That's actually pretty good if you think about it. And okay, now in the sense of trying to go faction specific with all your physical damage. I had to turn it sideways because I kind of wrote it vertically. Alright, so let's start off with the Grenier. For impact, well, actually, before I continue, Ricky, Glenn, got any questions?
Nope, I'm good.
Ricky? Ricky? Glenn, where did Ricky go?
I have no idea.
Goddamn, Ricky. Ugh. Bet he's taking a shit or something. Alright, so faction specific, let's start off with the Grenier. Impact, you would either add cold, heat, or radiate or radiation and corrosive if you can, or just radiation or corrosive. All the talking. Same thing applies for the puncture damage as well, because this is the hardest part of the videos, explaining all this right here. So for the impact, if you were to add cold, you'd have plus 25% to Grenier alloy, plus 25% to Grenier machinery. That's that's just straight positive. For the heat, if you added that, you have plus 25% to clone flesh and plus 25% to Grenier machinery. If you for the corrosive, you'd have plus 75% to Grenier ferrite and plus 25% to Grenier machinery, naturally. And the radiation, plus 75% to Grenier alloy and plus 25% to Grenier machinery. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that several times. And that's just for impact. For all the other elements that I kind of just listed, please just try to add it up with the whole puncture. And mind you, remember now, puncture has plus 50% on Grenier ferrite and plus 25% to Grenier alloy, and then try to please use the damage values for those. For slash, you would add radiation or corrosive. So for the slash, right, you naturally have plus 25% to the clone flesh and minus 25% to the ferrite and minus 50% to the alloy. If you add in radiation, you would take that minus 50% to the alloy and turn it into plus 25%. And if you add in the corrosive, you take that minus 25% to the ferrite and turn it into plus 50%. So if you can somehow get both of those on, considering that they both take, actually no, radiation doesn't. Yeah, it should be possible. Given all these suggestions, they're not, just specifically for your rifles or for your pistols or for your melee. It's just in the general sense because things are limited by the mods that they have and that they can use, because rifles have 2 fire mods, pistols have 2 cold mods, while melee weapons have 2 electric mods. So of course things will be limited. Alright, so for the corpus, for the impact you would add viral and or magnetic. And same thing would be for the puncture, but more so with the specificness of having magnetic before viral. And slash, you would add electricity and magnetic. So to explain these. Sorry, viewers, if I'm seeming really tired of this, just all this talking. I know I've been doing it for a while, too, and I'm sorry if I'm starting to slow down with it. I'm not seeing so fresh or hip or hop on, whatever. Go fuck yourself, Glenn.
No.
So for the slash damage, right? So against corpus, you got plus 25% to the flesh, minus 25% to the robotic. Reason why you would add electricity is because, let's see, where is it? Pow. Alright, yeah, it's because that minus 25% robotic, you would turn it into a plus 25% robotic. So that's 2 positives at least. And then add magnetic if you can, because then you have plus 25, plus 75, plus 75, plus 25. Bada bing, baby. That's actually really freaking good against corpus. I mean, if you could get something on your gun to be generally like that, then, it is just practically smooth sailing throughout the entire game. But, unfortunately, you can't do that. And as for how the impact and puncture goes, let's go with impact first. Against corpus, you have a minus 25% to their flesh, plus 50% to their shield, plus 25% to the proto shield, right? And you add viral because you get a plus 50% to their flesh, so you would kind of even it out to where it's plus 25% to their flesh, and so you'd be plus 25, plus 50, plus 25. And if you can, add magnetic, because then you would be at plus 125 and plus 100% to both kinds of shields. And as for puncture goes, puncture sucks generally in a sense against the corpus, because you got minus 25% to regular shields, minus 50% to proto shields, and plus 25% damage to robotics. And you would add magnetic to make up those 2 negatives, right? So you'd have plus 50% and then plus 25%. And then if you can, add viral, and then essentially you would have something kind of aching. It wouldn't be as powerful. It'd be the lower version of what you could achieve on impact. And then now, excuse me. Alright, now as for the infested, everything for the puncture, impact, and slash is all just use the same shit. Add heat damage and gas damage if you can, or heat. Yeah, well, if you can, heat or gas. Actually, that's what this is saying. Heat or gas, and add corrosive. As far as impact damage goes to that, with that heat, you would go plus 25, plus 50. With the corrosive, you'd go plus 25, plus 50, plus 75. Right? Nothing to sinew. With the gas, though, you'd be more specific and just doing like the overall damage to them, because then you'd have plus 100 and plus 100. So, I mean, if you can get all three, that would actually be really good. And since I just listed off those to you, Puncture only has that plus 25% to Sinew, so essentially you think same thing to Impact, but with plus 25% to Sinew. Slash, though, has that plus 25%, plus 50%, and plus 25% to overall Infested, the Infested Flash, and then Fossilized. And then if you could add Heat, Corrosive, and Gas, even though I'm sure you can't, you would essentially just outright wreck Infested. Just no problem at all. You'd probably run in there with the Mark I Braddon and just clear your house, maybe. Glenn couldn't. Glenn, are you still awake? Glenn?
Oh,
Glenn!
fuse.
So before we move on to the next part, do you have any questions?
No.
Seriously, this entire time you haven't had a question?
Well, it pretty much all makes sense.
Are you actually paying attention?
I drifted in and out.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Well, the elemental combination makes sense and stuff. So does the damage. So, I mean, I'm getting the gist of it anyway.
Alright. So, now to move on to the weapons that are just elemental, just elemental weapons. They just start off as elemental weapons, kind of like how the Ignis does, which I actually have to show you in game. Yes, you're going to see some, well, not actual gameplay footage, but me messing around with mods so you can try to achieve something. Oh man, this ginger ale is kind of getting to me, which is a weird thing to say. Alright, so for blast damage, right? So there's only two weapons right now that do blast damage, which is the Ogress and the Penta. Oh yeah, by the way, Glenn, if you can make the Penta, I don't know if it's ranked specific or XP locked is what it would say for you. Make it.
Okay.
It's a grenade launcher.
Oh yeah, no, it's XP locked.
Oh shit. That sucks, man. Anyway, so blast damage, best to mix it with corrosive, just in overall use. Because just by going by the negatives is all I'm gonna do is the only call outs I'm gonna do here now because this is taking really long. The blast damage has that minus 25% to Grenier Ferrite, and the corrosive would fix that and set it to being plus 50%. Essentially, though, you would be swapping around the negatives. You would be swapping out that minus 25% to a minus 50%, but that minus 50% would go to Proto Shields, which, like I said, general use, general playtime. You're not really going to be trying to focus on Corpus bosses unless you're trying to make a fucking framework, get some blueprints or something like that. Then just set up a weapon to kill them, because after all, you have 3 weapons running the game with. And unfortunately, though, it does not fix the minus 50% to the Infested Sinew. But like I said before, I think that's only for the Ancients. And whenever you hit an Ancient with something like the Ogress, it knocks its ass down. So that minus 50%, it kind of doesn't matter, because then while they're down and you damage them again while they're down, anything in this game that gets knocked down and takes damage, there's obviously extra damage added to it. Or it's also kind of best to just leave it as blast and just take that minus 25% to Grenier Ferrite. This is if you're intending on fighting Corpus bosses throughout your day. I did kind of write down radiation here. It doesn't really matter though, because there's no weapon that actually does just straight radiation damage. And there might be later on in the future, but then again, also later on in the future, they may end up changing these damage values, in which case then I'm going to spend time and this video will become useless. But hopefully they don't. Actually, hopefully they do, to where it's more simplified, because fuck. Heat damage, right? Best to leave as heat or add corrosive. See, the problem with adding corrosive is, which mine does do heat and corrosive. Problem with adding corrosive for my Ignis, which does straight heat damage, is that the thing you got to worry about is where you put your mods and all. I explained this last update because it mattered. Where you place your mods is kind of like setting up your Sentinel prefix because it goes from top left to bottom right. And something I've learned. So you did just see my damage values there. So did not change. But the moment I do this, well, that's actually kind of weird. Because the other day when I was trying to set this up, or maybe if I do that. Okay, well, I'm apparently retarded. Or this game likes to screw with me every once in a while. Or maybe I was encountering a bug or something. But generally, like what it was reading for me the other day was it was saying gas and electric damage, which in a sense it should be saying that, right? Because the infected clip kind of comes first, but it's not, and I'm honestly really confused. This is completely catching me off guard. So yeah, but yeah, it's your for the heat, the damage that it does with that plus 25, minus 50, plus 25, and plus 50. Ferrite, Proto Shields, Infested Flesh. Adding that corrosive, you would go plus 25 to the clone flesh, which, did I say ferrite the first time? I didn't mean to say ferrite. And with the corrosive, plus 75% to ferrite. And then you would change that minus 50% into a minus 100% to Proto Shields. And then, so then as far as Infested it would turn into plus 25, plus 50, plus 75%. And then your Ignis would be a true xenomorph killer. You could run around like your, shit. What the hell's his name? Hellboy. Ron Perlman from Aliens. Yeah, you can run around like a Ron Perlman from Aliens, just setting Infested on fire, trying to be a badass. Isn't that right, Glenn?
Totes
my goats.
Totes my goats.
Alright. So moving on to just straight toxin damage, which is something like... got a new mouse recently, trying to get used to it. It's more sensitive than the last one. Something like the dual Iker, right? Either make it into corrosive and add heat damage. If you can add heat damage, that would actually be useful. I don't have enough mod points to add heat damage to it. At the moment, I mean, yeah, I could take some of these off and be like, oh, heat damage, yeah, arf. But I need to polarize. I actually intend on making dual Ikers perfect. But yeah, it's essentially like the same thing as how like heat damage goes and stuff. So it's essentially it's really just the same readings on damage. So electric, either leave it as is or make it corrosive, which you already know how corrosive goes. But the reason why you would leave electric as is how I mentioned earlier in this video, is it only has a minus 50% to Grineer alloy, which not really sure what exactly has Grineer alloy on it. It sounds kind of beefy. Yeah, it really kind of just depends on what you're going up against the majority of that day, so think about that ahead of time. Now, in the sense of dealing with the factions and specifics, and we're finally coming down to the end of the video because I gotta go Grineer, Corpus, Infested, and then I'm done. Before I do that, Ricky, have you returned yet? No. Okay. Good going, Ricky. Good going, man. Don't know where you went.
4.
Yeah. Glenn, I doubt it. Any questions?
I'm good.
Okay. Let me get some more ginger ale. Woo! Alright. So what I'm gonna do here, actually, I'm gonna be a little unorthodox with this, not the same way as before. So, yeah. So gonna work our way back up. Electric against Grenier, make into radiation or corrosive, either or, right? Because against the Grenier, with the electric damage, an alert just happened. So either making a radiation or corrosive, you would just get rid of the negative and have a plus 75 either to the ferrite or a plus 75 to alloy. Really, I mean, just think about. Just try to learn what has alloy and ferrite, and think about what you know about the tile set is what you're going to go up against. Mainly going to have either or, so that's that for you there. Toxin heat kind of do the same thing in the general use. For corrosive, add heat or cold, because for something that is naturally corrosive, you add that cold to add a extra 25%. To alloy, because corrosive does that natural plus 75% to ferrite, or you add the heat to add a plus 25% to decline flesh. No negatives. Win-win. Blast, add corrosive or viral, because blast naturally has the minus 25% to the Grenier ferrite, so you either add the corrosive and make that plus 50%, and you could go with the viral, which I actually said, I don't know why I ever wrote that down. That was actually a really poor suggestion. Just go with corrosive. Just go with corrosive for the blast. What the fuck was I thinking? For Corpus now. For the electricity, you just make it magnetic. Just make it magnetic, or if you can, have the electricity and magnetic, because then you would just be doing a lot more damage to them then, because the electricity only has, it has no negatives to the corpus, right? And neither does magnetic, and so it's either or to that. Nothing but positives. Win-win. Yay! Essentially, against everything against corpus, I would actually say overall just add magnetic. And for heat and toxin, add viral or electricity. No. Add just add electricity, right? And yeah, the same thing for a blast. Just magnetic and electricity. That's just your best options. For infested, man. Hallelujah, getting to the end of this. Finally, Glenn, I'm getting to the end.
Fun. Holy shit.
Yeah. I told you, dude, it was a lot of fucking talking. A lot of stuff to go over. I mean,
yep.
If I would probably chug something like an energy drink before I did this, and probably drank 2 gallons of water to where I wouldn't be parched at all, probably could have gotten this done in maybe 15 minutes, but then I would be talking so fast nobody would be able to understand the fucking word I'd be saying.
Exactly.
Alright, so for electric damage, which is something for the synapse or the Wonka, but add gas and heat. Add gas and heat, because electric damage naturally, it does nothing, and gas has that plus 25% and plus 50% to infested flesh, whereas heat has a plus 25 and plus 50. You would be having a plus 100 and plus 100% damage to the fucking infested right there, and that's just overall just badass to do. For toxin damage, make corrosive or make corrosive, right? Because that corrosive would turn that minus 50% into a plus 75%. It has toxin has a minus 50% to the infested fossilized, and the corrosive would turn into plus 75% damage instead. And then, if you can, add both gas and heat, or just add gas. But if you're kind of restricted on mods and things like that, just add heat. Let's see. For heat, add a mixture of gas and corrosive because that's, just there's no negatives. You're just doing more damage. And essentially the same thing for corrosive. Add gas or heat. And also for blast, having that minus 50% to Sanu. If you want to try to get rid of that minus 50%, you got to add radiation, but then you incur a minus 75% to the fossilize, and then that would become a minus 25%. So you know what? Just like I said before, your blast weapons are just going to knock the ancients down anyways, so it ain't really shit to worry about because, you do more damage to things that are knocked down. So add gas and heat. And that's it for damage 2.5. Yeah. Shit. Ricky, did you ever come back? Ricky never came back. Glenn.
No. Fuck off.
We're done.
Okay.
Yeah. So, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
See you guys next time.